Alrighty, it is Friday, May 1st. It's kind of a cool, damp, little rainy day today. But we really need some rain here. But even this rain, it was only enough to really wet the ground, so we still need more. Anyway, this week was mostly about the garden and the vineyard, but I did get something else done, so let me start with that. Let's flip this around. All right, we're over here at the well, and I got all of the wiring finished up here. So if you recall, this was just sort of temporarily in place here, and there was a wire sticking out and came up and around like that. So I shortened it up. I glued all these PVC joints together, went up into the breaker box there, and got everything connected in there. Let's move this out a little bit. And it's looking pretty good. So it's been running for the last 3-4 days now, no issues. I still have this manifold to deal with later on, but that's going to require some parts to be ordered and some research on my part. I'm going to try and build the manifold, but I haven't done that kind of work before, so I'm going to take it slow and just kind of learn what I need to learn in order to do it. And there's no problems right now, so I can just take my time and work on that when I get the time. And I put a little bit of electrical tape around this breaker box simply to just close up all the holes, keep any bugs out. The last breaker box that I had, it was close to the ground, so it was more subject to having bugs and stuff get inside there, but it was a mess. So I'm just trying to keep this one a little bit more bug-free, if you will. So I think that'll do it. Everything's been caulked underneath there, even with the Romex connectors. This little thing here, everything's been caulked up, even underneath it, underneath here. Both sides I've got a Romex connector on there. They weren't there before. They were all just like, the wires were just kind of going in there. So wasn't all that great, but it's looking good now. All right, let's go talk about the vineyard and the garden. Be right back. All right, before we go up to the garden and the vineyard, this is the black fry grapevine that I planted here. It was like an extra one, and I had some like aphids or something on these leaves. I don't know if you can see it. You can see, yeah, on that black one, back of the leaf there, got all these little black spots. And they said online to just add a little bit of dish detergent to some water and put it in a spray bottle and then just spray the leaves. And that seems to have helped quite a bit, surprisingly. Such a simple solution, but it did take several days for it to work. So I sprayed it in the mornings for about 3 days, and now pretty much everything is cleared up. I mean, yes, there are still the black spots there, but I don't think they're alive. I think they're all dead now. And then these are some extra pumpkins that I had. Just stuck them in the ground here. I don't know what's going to happen. They're looking pretty good though. So I may have some pumpkins down here as well. I got a lot of pumpkins. All right, let's go up here. I finally got my hose connected back so I can spray my boots off when I go in the house, because there's sand right before you get into the house and it always collects on your boots. So now when the grass is wet or there's been a little bit of rain, your boots get all sandy, so I can spray them off before I go in the house, which is nice. And I've got all the rest of the hoses set up here. We got 1, 2, 3 hoses. One goes to the grapevines, one's going to a soaker hose for the sunflowers, and then this one's going to to the left is the watermelons, and to the right is the pumpkins. So let's just walk the line here and talk about how they're doing. The watermelons, boy, I'll tell you, they are just not doing that great. I don't know what's up with them. Like I said, they were planted the same time as the pumpkins, and this is like the best one. So it is growing, but very, very slowly. I would have thought watermelons would grow much faster because they got to produce those huge watermelons on their vines. This is another one. Again, it's growing, but very, very slowly. And then what I did was I had planted a second set of seeds in the little troughs that used to be the gutters. So I got a second set of germinated seeds, and like that one there is a second generation. I don't know what happened to that one. That one looks pretty sick. So this one is the second generation of germinated seeds. Again, first generation, growing, but not that great. Again, not so good. And they all have the same soil as the pumpkins, the same amount of fertilizer, the same amount of water. So I don't know. It's got me stumped. This is the second set of germinated seeds. I put two together here just as a little experiment. See how they both do. And then two more here. Second set of germination seeds. Again, as an experiment. And let's take a look at the pumpkins. What a huge difference. I mean, they are just starting to go nuts here. You know, they're getting lots of leaves. The leaves are getting huge. I mean, that's pretty good. And that's not even the big ones. That one, this is probably the biggest one. I'm going to have to remove these cages in a couple of days because they're just going to get too big. I mean, so compare that to the watermelons. I mean, it's just no comparison. And I did get these polyethylene tubing on the posts here. That's all set up. I got the little emitters on here. So now all I have to do is turn on the valves here for left and right, and that will send water into the polyethylene tubing, and the little emitters will just water the plants. That way I don't have to do it by hand. I just turn it on, come back maybe an hour later, and everything's watered. Or, you know, I just check to see what it looks like. What is the soil wet? Does it have enough water? And, you know, then I turn it off when I think it's had enough water. And the sunflowers are doing much, much better. They've even, it's like amazingly, they've straightened up. Like, look at the stems. They're all like almost perfectly straight. Some of them used to be kind of wonky, and are still a little bit of wonky, like this one here. I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. This one's a little wonky. That one's definitely wonky there. But this is probably the biggest one. It's got a nice straight stem. And I did the same thing that I did with the watermelons. I planted a second generation of seeds. And then this is the first set of seeds I planted. This is the second set of seeds. So they're just kind of small here. Put them underneath the cages to kind of protect them. So I got them all the way up to here. I don't really have any more for this section here, but I might take some of the ones down here and replant them because they're a little close. As they get bigger and bigger, they're probably going to need a little bit more spacing. So I can probably grab a couple of these down here and move them up to the top. And the big thing I got done in the garden/vineyard this week was putting in posts. I had 6 to do. I got 5 in the ground, And then this is the very last one that needs to go right here. So one of these sunflowers has got to be transplanted just so I can dig out the hole for this post. But all the other posts, like on the ends, are in the ground. So it was that one, and that one, and then that one, and that still has to be done. So one to go. Those things are brutal because you got to dig 3 feet or more into the ground. All right, so this is the second to the last post that's going into the vineyard for the season. And I just wanted to cover how I actually put these posts into the ground and what I'm hoping will keep them from tilting once I put the trellis wire on and put some tension on it. So this is the hole, and that's all the sand or dirt that I've pulled out of it. But before I put the post in, I do 2 things. I put a brick down there for the post to sit on, and then I put a cinder block on the back side of the post. And the idea of the brick is to, number 1, prevent any sinking further into the ground, and number 2, provide a little bit of drainage so water will run down onto the brick and into the dirt rather than pool, I guess, at the bottom of the post and cause rot. And the cinder block there is there to prevent the bottom from kicking out that way. So it's basically, it would be almost impossible to push that cinder block through the dirt or sand once everything has settled in. So the bottom end can't go that way. And then as I come up to the top, right near the edge here, I'll put another cinder block here, and that'll prevent it from tilting this way. So you got one at the bottom, preventing it from kicking out on the bottom that way, and one at the top from leaning forward this way, because this is the way, is where the grapevines are. That is just more field that way. So I think that will pretty much keep it from tilting over once I get the trellis wire on. However, I'm guessing that a 4x4 isn't really strong enough to prevent a little bit of bending happening once the trellis wire is on there and the grapes are all, in bloom and putting a lot of weight on that wire. So we'll see. I expect a little bit of bending, but nothing too dramatic. But time will tell. All right, just wanted to cover that. Get it in there. Obviously, I'm repeating what I had shown on a previous short clip, so you'll see that on this video. And the grapevines, they're doing well. Can't complain, I guess. I mean, they are doing well. Got a lot of leaves. Like I said, I'm just letting them grow wild until next year to establish the root systems, and hopefully next year I won't even have to do much, although I will probably put grapevines over on these other rows. So next year I was thinking of just keeping the row of sunflowers as a little demarcation between grapevines, but I don't want them, the other grapevines that I'm going to put in here, and a couple more rows next year, need to be the self-fertile kind, so that these, which are not the self-fertile type of grapevines, will produce fruit. Apparently they need to be within 50 feet of a self-fertile grapevine. So that's only 22 feet from there to there, and that's like 33 feet from there to there. So if I keep the sunflowers and then I do more grapevines over here, and I'll move the pumpkins and the watermelons down further, then they'll be close enough that they can do their cross-pollination thing or whatever's going on with that. And then finally, at the blueberries, they're doing okay. Haven't really changed too much. They seem to be settling in, but you know, not doing a whole lot. Didn't really expect them to, but it's only been like a little over a week, I guess. But yeah, there they are. This one's got berries on it, that's for sure. This one's got some berries. And this one doesn't really have any berries. I don't think so. Yeah, for some reason this one doesn't really have a lot of berries on it. Maybe it'll get some. It looks healthy. I don't see anything wrong with it. And I did add some sulfur pellets to each little plot there, and that reduces the soil pH, because apparently blueberry bushes need to have a soil pH lower than some other plants like grapevines or watermelons or pumpkins. It needs to be in like the 4.5 to 5.5 range. And I think I tested this soil. It's a little over the 5.5, so I added just little sulfur beads that's supposed to lower the soil pH. But it takes a while. Apparently it's the bacteria in the soil will consume the sulfur and turn it into sulfuric acid, which is what causes the soil pH to drop. And that's what the blueberries like, so we'll see what happens. I don't know, it's an interesting experiment, to say the least. All right, so that's really going to wrap it up for this week. And we're going to keep going. Hopefully I'll get the last of the poles in for the vineyard. Oh, and I did get all of the lights on the tops of the poles. I need 2 more, which are on order. But it looks nice at night when when the lights light up. You get lights at the top of each pole, the end poles only at the vineyard. Okay, that's it.